Hello, everyone. Avatar Fire and Ash is officially here, and today I'm going to give you my thoughts on the film. Welcome to the Cinemajors. My name is Logan, and we talk movies here. So please subscribe and leave a like if you want to hear more movie conversations. Without further ado, let's get into my thoughts. First off, I want to say, spoiler warning, unlike my previous reviews, there will not be a segment that is spoiler-free. This whole thing will be spoilers, so you've been warned. Okay, so if you haven't donated 10 hours of your life to watch this franchise, I'm going to give you a rundown. So basically, it's about a white guy who is sent to learn the ways of the blue people so humans can colonize their land. Instead, he falls in love with an alien baddie, Zoe Saldana, adopts her culture, betrays humanity, and vows to protect Pandora. More or less successfully, but. The next film, The Way of Water, jumps forward in time, following Jake Sully and his family of 5 children as they integrate into a new Na'vi tribe. It's a film obsessed with world building, sometimes to a fault, and it has a loose central narrative. Still, it works as a second entry, expanding Pandora and developing the franchise's mythology. Fire and Ash is positioned as a direct continuation of Way of Water, and unfortunately, that is its biggest flaw. Before I start dogging on this movie, let me be clear, I love Avatar. I love this franchise, I love the spectacle, I love Pandora. I love becoming one of the people, okay? Great song. Even the freaking ride at Disney World is my favorite ride, okay? Shout out Flight of Passage. And that's precisely why I can't ignore the straight up Na'vi fecal matter that was getting flung at me on the screen while I was sitting there, okay? Fire and Ash is a third film in a planned 5-film saga, but it doesn't feel like a pivotal chapter. It doesn't feel like a franchise film. It feels like Way of Water again, like a sequel to a sequel, without the narrative ambition that a midpoint installment desperately needs in a franchise like this. This movie needed to be big. It needed to wrap up loose ends from Way of Water and meaningfully launch the arcs that will carry the rest of the series. It sort of does the first part, it absolutely fumbles the second. This film is so tethered to The Way of Water that it genuinely feels like a 2025 remake. And the video game comparison is unavoidable. Not just metaphorically, but literally. At times, the movie looks like an in-engine cutscene. There are moments where the frame rate appears to stutter or accelerate, and I've heard this described as like a creative choice, but it feels so inconsistent that I'm really having a hard time just understanding that explanation. On top of that, this movie is absolutely infested with NPCs. Side characters who exist solely to populate action and shout expressions. And actually something that Andrew brought up, all the people in the RDA are white, which I thought was he's claiming that it's like it's a artistic choice. I have no idea. I wasn't paying attention. He was saying that it was a choice to really push the colonization theme of it, which I think is hilarious if that is the truth. I wasn't paying attention, but if you caught that, let me know. Anytime there's a chase, Spider is repeatedly saying the same dialogue loop, "Kitty, come on, this way," over and over. It's like the writers were terrified of silence. Every second is filled with dialogue, which is really strange because The Way of Water actually understood the power of letting scenes breathe. I mean, I felt that was the strongest element of the film. It trusted its visuals, its score, and its atmosphere. But here, the vibe is kind of gone. And that's tragic because the best thing about Avatar has always been the world. Lush landscapes paired with sweeping music, but Fire and Ash is far less interested in beauty and far more interested in destruction, which, to be fair, is right there in the title. And there's nothing wrong with that theme. Even for the first hour, I was actually on board. The idea that the Sully family is being hunted by the Ash people felt like the narrative was finally tightening, finally evolving. But then, just like that, we're back with the Water Tribe. And that's where the film really collapses for me. The humans are still the antagonists, and they are still painfully uninteresting. They always have been. The franchise's themes of colonization and resource exploitation are so bluntly executed that the human villains are evil, purely to be evil at this point. And that can work for a character like Varong, the fire chiefess, but it doesn't work when the climax once again boils down to the same human versus Na'vi battle we've seen twice in a row. At a certain point, repetition becomes stagnation, and Fire and Ash crosses that line. This movie desperately needed to sideline the human conflict and let the Na'vi conflict take center stage. The film sets up a genuinely compelling dichotomy between Varong and Kiri. Faith versus exile, prophecy versus bitterness. That dynamic is infinitely more interesting than the three competing narratives that we actually get. And yet, just as Varong and the Ash people become the most compelling part of the film, they're sidelined, sacrificed to prop up the same story we've been watching since 2009. The movie tries to juggle themes of grief, faith, and family, filtering them through the Sully children, Loak, Kiri, and Spider. Each arc has moments that work. Some scenes genuinely land. But they lack focus, and it all just feels so shallow. And frankly, the performances don't help. Sigourney Weaver facing Kiri remains a baffling creative choice. Like, I'm sorry, but are we supposed to believe that a 14-year-old sounds like a 70-year-old woman? It just breaks immersion every time I hear it. Also, Jack Champion's Spider is rough, though I will give him grace. The writing does him absolutely no favors. Also, being the only human surrounded by a bunch of blue aliens just puts him in like an out-of-place position. Which brings me to another issue. They cannot write kids. Every line is either aggressively basic or stuffed with bro. Like, what are we doing, guys? There's a clear disconnect between the writers and how kids actually think or speak. Despite all this, I don't think Fire and Ash is a bad movie. It's just disappointing. I wanted something bold, something different, something that would finally push this franchise into new territory and let a strong, character-driven narrative emerge as the saga moves towards its conclusion. Instead, I feel like I just watched Way of Water again, minus the things I love the most. Yes, this film is technically incredible, but that means less and less with every installment. In an era of AI generation and automation, technical achievement alone isn't enough. Spectacle is easy. What isn't easy, what AI can't replicate, is a human, heartfelt, engaging narrative. So James Cameron, lock in, bud. Lock in. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Avatar: Way of Water 2, aka Avatar: Fire and Ash. Please let me know what you thought of the movie down in the comments. Let me know what you thought of my review. I hope you guys liked it. Leave a like if you liked it. Leave a dislike if you didn't like it, so I can know. And yeah, make sure you subscribe. We're trying to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. Sorry, I bumped you, Mike. Sivako. Sivako, my friends. Sivako. And as always, major in goofs, minor in films, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.